gives you some extra detail, and then he leaves some things out too. I'm kind of stalling just in case Susan isn't quite ready. This is the preacher version of small talk up here. See? No problem. So, my one of my editors, the guy who helped publish this, Cole Fakes, when he sent back my original draft of the book, he had I can't remember what mark it was. It was a whole bunch of exclamation marks next to this first paragraph in this chapter, and I said, I don't know what that means. Is that bad exclamation marks or good? He said, no, this is the best paragraph in the book. So, oh, okay. So I went ahead and put it on a slide. This is the one he really liked. So he said, thus far in John's gospel, Jesus seems to be a very likable fellow. There is a great temptation in telling the story of Jesus to leave him there as a polite moral teacher from years gone by. A lot of Christian preaching does just that, proclaiming the almost gospel of almost Jesus, the pleasant neighbor you might want to have over for dessert. But the traditional symbol of Christianity is a cross, not a cup of coffee. Near the end of the story, someone dies, and for many half-hearted believers and casual readers, this remains a mystery. I remember the first time a professor pointed that out. I mean, you wouldn't think you'd have to have that pointed out, that someone dies in the gospel. But you get so accustomed to it that you kind of forget that that's the punchline. That's the end of the story, is they murder someone. They lynch someone at the end of the story. It's the main character. And as we're reading about Jesus, it is very easy to just find him to be such a likable person that it's then unimaginable how would such a person end up getting himself lynched? Why would religious people of his own ethnic group want to have him put to death horribly, publicly, and arrange for that? What makes religious people murderous? It's a fascinating question when you think about it in that way. And so when I was writing this chapter then and thinking about John's account, that was the question I decided to focus on, is does John give us any insight into the question of why did they kill this man? Because if we don't have an answer to that, that means we've misunderstood the first 17 chapters of the story. Right? If the ending doesn't match up with the beginning, then we got the beginning wrong somehow, because this is how it definitely ends. So what did we miss about Jesus? Was he not as likable as we thought? Was there something about him that was more troublesome than we imagined? What is it about Jesus? And then once we find that out, I think it'll be challenging to us as well. In John's gospel, Jesus dies for at least 3 reasons that are pointed out, I think, in the text. I say at least because I'm sure you could find more, but preachers like sets of 3s, and so three points in a poem and a joke. So we're in John's gospel. Jesus dies for at least 3 reasons, and the 3 reasons are, in my writing of the text, associated with 3 groups. There's the Jewish reason that he dies, there's the Roman reason that he dies, and then there's the Jesus reason that he dies. And all of those are actually interesting to look at. Okay, reason number 1, Jesus died because of someone's fear. Okay, fear is a very dangerous motivation. It's very primal, one of those basic things. Back once upon a time, when I was a furniture salesman, they often reminded us that fear of loss was a bigger motivator than any other thing you could get. So if the sale was going to end tomorrow and you were going to miss out on this special deal, people would, they'd buy. They didn't want to lose something. Fear was this motivation. Fear is a lot of lynch mobs come out of fear. They'll use language about, well, we're trying to establish justice in the common order or whatever, but lynch mobs come out of fear. Okay. So let's start talking about Pilate for just a moment, because he'll help us understand the the Jewish leadership. What is Pilate's job? We call him a governor. That doesn't help us much because you think of the governor of Oklahoma or something like that. There's some things in common and also a lot of things not in common. Pilate has two basic jobs as a Roman governor.